Okay, let's begin with our posture. So finding a nice comfortable position so that your spine can be straight. And let's close our eyes and just come to feel the whole body sitting here right now. Feel where you feel the breath the most. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Breathing in together. And as we're holding our breath, just feel the tension in the body and where you feel tightness. And as you exhale, keep your attention on there and just slowly release your breath. Relaxing your arms, either placed gently on your lap or with the hands together and the palms up. Another deep breath in. We're coming into the body by using our breath. Feeling the tension in the body and inviting it to soften and relax. As we exhale, if the tension can release through our breath, we just let it go with our breath. And one more deep breath in. Feeling the whole body, letting the body relax as we release our breath slowly. Now just gently rest your attention where you feel your breath the most. Stay connected to your breath as you listen to the slides. Maintain your posture as much as you can. It allows for us to be alert and sustain attention, listen better, so that posture actually encourages that. But also we're relaxing. We're not concentrating and in a very serious or tense way. So let's just follow through in the slides together. We'll go through this, and then at the end we're going to do a body scan like we did last week. Feel free to interrupt me if you guys have any questions. So we're just going to review mindfulness, and we're going to talk about staying open to our experiences without judgment. We're going to talk about some of the obstacles that we face, especially when we're trying to establish a daily meditation practice. We're going to talk about where we're at 4 weeks into the course. We have another 4 weeks left, just to review where we're at. We're going to talk about one of the mindfulness qualities of non-striving. And we're going to get in to finish our mindfulness of body portion of the course. And next week we're going to get into the mindfulness of the feelings. So this is our last week practicing mindfulness of the body and studying it. So just to review, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way. It's on purpose. It's in the present moment and non-judgmentally. We're paying attention to one's experience that is deliberate, sustained, and non-judgmental. So Thich Nhat Hanh says here, just Copy the picture here. It says meditation is offering your genuine presence to yourself in every moment. Probably can't see the slide, so just listen. So we talked about paying attention in a particular way, and that is definitely a very deliberate, sustained, and non-judgmental way of paying attention. Deliberate is abiding in mindfulness in our thoughts, sensations, emotions, and feelings in the present moment. So more importantly, however, it involves the acceptance and non-judgment of those thoughts, sensations, emotions, and feelings. This is not something that comes natural to us. This is something that we train ourselves to do as a habit. Naturally, this practice creates a space for relief, healing, clear seeing, and the transformation of our false perceptions. We're paying attention and trying to sustain our attention. So mindfulness training very importantly includes the ability to be able to do this for longer periods of time. We develop this ability by patiently bringing the mind back over and over when it wanders away without judgment. So we're obviously developing patience while we do this. Any mindfulness practice focuses the mind and trains us to replace unhealthy habits of mind with calm abiding in the present moment of our open awareness. And non-judgmentally. So by letting go of judgment, we develop the inner qualities of attention that are key to mindfulness. We can have insights and discover things about the true nature of all things. And what we've been referring to as the petals of the inner heart, which spontaneously grow while we practice. And those are the qualities of the heart. So these are developing and being nurtured during our practice. So the 4 foundations of mindfulness is a step-by-step process of training the mind. In our meditation practice, we could also imagine that we are building a beautiful inner healing temple, brick by brick. Each brick represents the healing qualities of our hearts. The 4 foundations are like the blueprint and a detailed step-by-step instructions for how we go about constructing our temple. The practices of the 4 foundations trains us in mindful abiding without clinging to anything that enters these realms of our experience. So, practicing mindfulness trains the mind to abide in and welcome all things, and we could say into our healing home within our hearts. So I'm going to read some quotes from Buddha. At first here, this is what Buddha says: our sorrows and wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. And Jack Cornfield, he says, healing comes from our inner capacity for deep listening. This deep listening or seeing is not through our ears, our eyes, but with our heart and our soul. And the Dalai Lama says, this is my simple religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Our own brain, our own heart is our temple. And the philosophy is kindness. And Rumi, I looked in temples, churches, and mosques, but I found the divine within my heart. So let's discuss some of the obstacles to daily meditation practice. We left off last week. Most people have had a hard time practicing daily. So we set a time to practice 15 minutes twice a day or 30 minutes total for daily practice. Most people, it seems, haven't been able to do that. So that's okay. We set that as a time, and we're just getting the feedback halfway through the course, if that's realistic for you or not, and where you're at. And we can talk about this as some of the obstacles. that that do arise when we try to establish a meditation daily practice. It's normal. So I wrote here, it's normal to come across many obstacles when trying to integrate meditation practice into our daily lives. It seems pointless to the mind sometimes to just sit and be with our breath. So the mind can become agitated at first when we do sit down and maybe present a list of things that need to be done. So we can follow these thoughts and stop doing the meditation or not get around to doing it and just continue to go and accomplish these things on our list. But the next thing you know, the day's done and we're too tired and we forgot to meditate. So this is absolutely normal in the beginning when forming a new habit. The more we remember to practice, the more this becomes our habit and daily ritual. So every day is a new day to start. And if you can integrate that into your day to sit down and do your daily practice, that's a new time and we start from there. But the more we practice, the more we feel the benefits. The more benefits we feel, of course, the more we make time willingly to meditate and even look forward to this as an important time and part of our well-being, our balance in life. So establishing a daily meditation practice. I'm just going to ask, oh, my mom's online now, hello. I'm just going to ask each of you, if you could just type in something here, what have you noticed, if any, benefits so far, halfway through the course? A deep residual calm that stays with me for the rest of the day after my meditation. Very nice. That's Irene. And a quietness within myself. Yes. I do feel that my mind is a lot more active or less active and more, I guess, silence inside. And Sylvia, I feel more connected within my body. Wonderful. And also my mind feels more peaceful and increased ability to accept things around me and more compassion towards others. Wonderful. So I also wanted to ask, what obstacles have you come across or what have you observed that are reasons for not doing a daily practice? We may not be aware of some of the things that prevent us from doing a practice daily, but also when we're doing our meditation, we can start to become aware of these things. If we set the time to do it and we don't do it, we can start thinking about are the things that get in the way, and maybe noticing more and about what those things actually are. So if anybody wants to talk about if they've noticed the obstacles, like for instance, feeling there's just not enough time. Sylvia, more patience too. Wonderful. So sometimes your mind is just busy planning daily tasks. Yeah. So that's what we just discussed is very, very common obstacles. So the mind just sometimes can't justify sitting down and watching the breath. So there, that's when it'll present a whole list of things that we should be doing that are more of a priority. Yes, very wise. So after doing a meditation, you're able to tackle your daily tasks better. You might notice that your pace is a more steady pace and you can actually get through the day without having those big drops and highs and lows. Um, more energy to get through the day. There's lots of things that your practice can enhance. So Irene says, finding a quiet time when there are no children. Yes, being a parent, that's one of the big things that can prevent us from doing meditation is finding that space of alone time. Okay, so for Irene, I'm going to suggest trying to think about if doing your meditation before you get out of bed, if you're an early riser, 5, 10 minutes, whatever it is, we're going to change the time and play with it for the next 4 weeks. Because I think it might be easier to think about it. Well, it's 5 minutes, so I'm sitting up as soon as I wake up into my posture, just closing my eyes. Maybe put the timer on if you need that. Um, and directing the mind because we really need to work that specific training and concentration and intention. So mindfulness of the breath, so that we're working with the mind and how it's taking us away. So that is a very important part of what we need to establish for our ability to sustain attention. So I'm going to suggest for Irene that maybe doing it in the morning before you get out of bed for 5 minutes even, just sitting up, and then before you go to bed, maybe another 5, 10 to 15 minutes or whatever. But minimum, we're going to set for the next week at least 10 minutes practice, so 5 minutes twice a week. Twice a day. And if you can do more, great. But let's just try and lower the time and see if that makes a difference in terms of being able to slowly, gradually ease ourselves into justifying that we're sitting here and not doing anything. So let's start with that. Irene, maybe do you think that might work for you? Before you get out of bed and before you go to sleep? And mom, you also have a hard time thinking about what has to be done. So exactly what we talked about in the last slide is the mind is presenting a list of things for the majority of us of what needs to be done and what's a priority. Okay. Okay, so Sylvia says, I'm trying to challenge that voice because I know it's just my ego trying to stop me from reaching enlightenment. Thank you for the humor, Sylvia. But remember, non-striving. We're not trying to go anywhere. That's the whole point. We're training the mind to actually rest. We're learning to use a different faculty of mind. Let's call it our receptivity and our sensing and our feelings. Okay, so I'm glad everybody's open and having the same obstacles come up, because I mean it's part of the way our human conditioning and our habits, and we share these. So let's try to modify a little bit here and see what happens with playing with your daily practice, but really, really trying to maybe set up a shorter expectation of time. Okay? Okay, so I'm just saying we're at the halfway mark. Just 4 weeks of meditation practice, but a lot of us are haven't done 4 weeks actually of daily practice. So if you were able to do a daily practice, we can expect to experience significant benefits at this stage. We may start to notice one of the big things we can expect to see is that the mind wanders less, and we have the ability to sustain and pay attention and concentrate at this stage to our breath, to the sensations in our body, which we have been practicing. So let's talk about non-striving a little bit more. So we talked about the qualities of attention. So it's a particular way of paying attention in our practice, what mindfulness is. So there's qualities that we talked about, that they're attitudes that we bring when we sit down to do our practice. And we're developing these qualities by doing this specific practice, by training the mind to focus on the breath, by bringing it back when it wanders. So, of course, patience is going to be one of them. Acceptance. And you could even see that as acceptance is in terms of being compassionate with what's, that the mind is very busy, and that's just the way it is right now. But we're still bringing it back and then resting. So we're not using, we're doing this very gently. So tenderness is something we're developing towards ourselves. Non-striving. Okay, so trust, letting go, trust and letting go. So let's talk about trust just a little bit. But trust is really, what are we trusting? We're trusting the process of the technique, and that it's taking us, or that we are developing these qualities, and that these qualities are unfolding in our practice and getting stronger, and that we're nurturing our inner goodness. And it seems maybe that nothing's really happening, but a lot is actually happening. Letting go, we're letting go of clinging or attaching to anything that arises in our realm of experience. We're letting it be. We're being kind to ourselves. We're being kind to what's there. We're not identifying with it. We're not dwelling on it. We're not wrestling with it. All those things. So that's what letting go is. And beginner's mind is, instead of judging and having our false perceptions of when things arise, we're paying attention to it, but with a different mindset. So we're just resting our attention, and if judgment comes up and those types of things, what we like, what we don't like, we're letting that go, and we're just letting it be and looking at it with fresh eyes, paying attention to it with fresh eyes. So I'm just going to read here what I have for non-striving. So letting go of striving is what we practice through mindfulness meditation. By opening to the present moment sensations in our body, whether they are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, we learn to let go of trying to force things to be something other than what they are. When we practice this, we experience an immediate sense of peace and relaxation. The real benefits are experienced over time. As non-striving becomes a habit, this one simple practice has the power to completely transform our health, our happiness, our relationships, and our world. It really is a very powerful attitude to take. Okay, so we are going to do another meditation shortly, but we're just gonna review what the last 4 weeks have really been about in terms of the 4 foundations. So we've been working on the first foundation, which is mindfulness of body. We've been part of mindfulness of body includes mindfulness of the breath practice and the body scan. It does include other things, but we're just going to focus on that. So let's just review in the 4 foundations, which in the Pali word is called the Satipatthana Sutta. So that's actually the discourse taught by the Buddha. What we translate is called the four foundations. He taught his disciples or his followers to contemplate the body as or in the body. Sounds a bit confusing, but what does it really mean? It's quite simple. It means to regard the body as a physical form, so we're looking at it, and without a self attached to it. So in other words, we could look at it as this is not my body, this is not my legs, my feet, my head, but looking at it just as the experience of feeling the body, of being in the body, of the body being present and what it feels like. So mindfulness of body going deeper. In order to really practice mindfulness of body, we must begin with simply being there in the physical sense. So we're not thinking about the body. We're not visualizing the body. There's a difference. We're actually experiencing sensations in the body and we're being there and dropping out of the thinking into the actual physical sensing. So this begins with sitting in the meditation posture. So that sitting practice is very important about mindfulness of body. It begins with meditation or reflection that focuses on every aspect of feeling, every sensation in the body. For example, when we sit in the meditation posture with our hands resting on our knees, there's a sense of touch. There's a sensation, a feeling that we could describe when we touch, warm, tingling, whichever we could describe it as. There's an experience of a body here, right here. There's an experience of body when we touch our meditation cushion and feeling the weight of the body. And it grounds and stabilizes the mind. Mindfulness of body does not happen if we are not participating fully in our sitting posture. Mindfulness of body does not happen if we are not participating fully in our sitting posture. So we're just sitting simply, but in a relaxed awareness. So we're not drifting away, we're actually really observing the experience of being in this body. And we're just simply breathing with the body. Okay, so mindfulness of the breath and body. Just to review, the benefits, it calms and stabilizes the mind. It's a focus for the mind, to train the mind. I would like to add here that it is a way to come to the present experience, the present moment. and get out of the thinking, and it builds up our ability to sustain attention and concentration in the present moment. So it would be our anchor, the breath and the body. So this is what we're really connecting with and what we can use throughout our daily um, tasks or whatever we're doing daily. So whenever something arises, we always, if we find we're upset or we've been disturbed or we're triggered or anything along that line, we always have the breath and the body that we're making a habit to come back to calm ourselves. And we could even say that the breath and body becomes our refuge for stabilizing the mind. And it develops and strengthens the qualities, of course, by doing that. So patience, acceptance, compassion, kindness, etc. And that awakens our inner hearts for healing and transformation of suffering. We talked about in order to practice mindfulness, we need to know the mind and train the mind and eventually free the mind. But in knowing the mind comes first. So for the past 4 weeks, we're getting to know our own particular habits. And this is very, very important because we need to know what we're training. So the purpose of mindfulness, we said, is to transform suffering and the causes of suffering. We said that that's desire, which is attachment or aversion or grasping, clinging to things, to our experiences. And ignorance is the root cause of suffering. So when we say ignorance, we're meaning not seeing clearly into the true nature of all things. Without judgment, without discrimination, prejudice, all those types of things prevent us from being free of those things, especially those things that disturb us. So when the mind wanders away in our mindfulness practice, we need to know what we are habitually wandering away from. We need to know what am I having aversion to? So yes, we may have all these outside habits. Well, I'm keeping busy all the time, or my habit may be overeating or addiction, or it doesn't matter. What it comes down to is what we're trying to get away from. And we're preparing ourselves to actually slowly start to immerse ourselves into our bodies and open up and allow what it is that we're trying to escape from. There's a difference between feeling something and it being unpleasant, but opening our hearts to it, or feeling something and it not wanting it to be there. That makes things a lot worse for us. So that's why they say a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So an untrained mind will wander, and that's just the nature of an untrained mind. So it either grasps or it pushes away and suppresses things. We haven't trained it yet to say it's okay. Whatever's here can be here. When we start to practice focusing on the breath, we will notice that if unpleasant sensations or feelings arise, the mind tries to get away. These are our habits. So we're getting to know all this by sitting down in our practice and watching. And the more we go into our practice with kindness, the more it's easy to look at these things and not be ashamed or not, just look at the conditioning habits of our mind without taking it as there's something wrong with me or you're bad or whatever. So, for example, we may get led away into thoughts and memories of life tragedies or how someone hurt us in the past and how different things would be if that person didn't do what they did to us. We would be happy now. Those type of stories, we can get lost in them for over and over. They take us for long loops that make us very unhappy. This is how we uncover our resistance. So, but these loops, what's underneath these loops and how our mind gets caught in these stories? What's underneath that? What's under that is something that we're trying to get away from. So that's the self-aversion. This is how we uncover. So by noticing that, then we can say, well, what am I unwilling to feel? And stop all of that. Getting out of the story, coming to the body, calming the body with the breath and the mind. And then just saying, okay, well, what am I feeling and what am I resisting? So our mind's activities are teaching us about uncovering our resistance to facing what we feel as not desirable, uncomfortable feelings that are happening in the present, and the thought patterns that only keep us stuck to them, the clinging, the grasping. So this is the nature of the grasping mind. This is not your true nature. This is not your heart. The heart has space for all this. The heart's where we're learning to abide and the qualities of the heart. So that's without judgment and discrimination and false perceptions. It's really just allowing something to just be. And that's how we get profound clarity about things that we really, really have pushed away. And all of this is about learning to let go and find freedom from all these things that we grasp at. Okay, so we got 10 minutes. I'm not going to do a long practice because I'd like to finish up on time today. So if anybody has anything to say, please add it here now before we go into our body scan practice. And could you just type a yes? Oh, type a yes if you're ready to get going. Tell me when if you need to go to the washroom or grab a drink before we do our body scan practice, because I would like to do a nice, deep body scan. Type yes when you're ready. Okay? Thanks, Mom. The pregnancy. Okay. Sylvia, I'm just waiting on you, hun. If you're ready to go, we'll get going into the guided body scan practice. Welcome, Roma. We're just about to finish and do our guided body scan practice. I've recorded those, so you can always access the files if you want to listen to what we discussed today. It's okay, Roma. We're just waiting for Sylvia. I'm not sure if she can hear me. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead if you're ready. Well, that's okay, Roma. I understand. We recorded it, so you can always go back and listen to that. Okay. So Sylvia, I'm not hearing anything from Sylvia, so I'm just going to assume she's lost her sound or maybe got disconnected. But I'd really like to get going because we don't have much time here. All right, so we're going to do a nice guided body scan. And Irene, I apologize if you need to run. I know you got an appointment, then just go ahead. And then you can go back to the files and do the whole scan later when you have more time. I'm probably going to go over now. There's only about 6 minutes here. Okay. So let's do a 10-minute then. So if you're going to lie down to do this body scan, please do that now. Set your computer up or your tablet so that you can hear me. Or if you're going to do the body scan, just get into your posture. So bringing ourselves where the spine is nice and straight, relaxing the muscles. Feel the whole body just sitting here. The first thing that we can sense is the stability that the body brings by bringing our attention, our mind there. The body is already still. There's stillness always in the body. So let's just close our eyes and come into that stillness. Feel where your breath is. It doesn't matter where you feel it, starting with maybe the sensation is mostly, or you can feel it most in the nostrils, coming in, the air moving, nice cool air moving into the nostrils. But pay attention to its own rhythm. So it's like waiting for the wave of the breath to come in. Dropping the controlling of the breath. We may feel the sensation mostly in our chest. When the breath comes in, feeling the expansion in the chest. Resting your attention there then. Or you may even start to feel it in the belly. So like we did last week, with our eyes closed, we're going to think about those qualities that we're developing in our practice by just sitting here and resting the mind on the waves of the incoming and outgoing breath. So those qualities that we admire, that we appreciate in others, and that we'd like to have within ourselves. Those qualities are love, compassion, kindness, wisdom, thinking about those qualities that are inside of us as the petals of the lotus in our inner hearts. And by sitting here and being open and receptive, those qualities are being nurtured. And instead of struggling with what we don't like or tensing against and contracting against something, we're letting that go by feeling the tension in our body and relaxing. And we're opening up to bathe ourselves in the light of the heart. So let's visualize that these qualities present themselves like the sun as a white sphere of pure light. Imagine that as we're sitting here, we can sense or feel that light above our heads. And we can really open to its warmth by trying to, not trying, but just feeling its presence, knowing that it's always there. So imagine that ball of white light above the head are those qualities of love and compassion and wisdom and so forth. And we're going to invite that into the body. Taking a nice deep breath, breathing from that light above our head. And just scanning from head to toe as we exhale and relaxing any tension and letting go here. As if we're just sitting on our favorite beach and opening up to the rays of the sun, sunbathing. And now we're going to bring that ball of light down into the top of the head and feeling it inside the whole head, relaxing the eyebrows. So feeling that warmth in the eyes. Relaxing the cheeks, the jaw, the lips. Breathing it into the whole face and feeling its warmth. Relaxing the ears, relaxing the back of the head. And just feel your head resting ever so gently in between your shoulders. Feel the posture, how straight your spine is, so that you can just let the sensations in the whole head, that feeling of the head resting in between the shoulders. And moving the light into the throat, relaxing the tongue, relaxing the throat. Feeling it on the right side of the throat, your right thyroid. And feeling the sensations and the warmth in the left side, in the left thyroid. And feeling the space in the throat. And moving our attention down into the space within the heart or the chest. Feeling the thymus gland. Imagine breathing into the thymus gland, and as you exhale, relax and softening here. Feel the lungs, both on the right side and the left side. Bringing that warmth and that space and that openness here into the whole upper chest, the heart, the thymus, and the lungs. Feeling your shoulders and feeling that light or that warmth of the sun touching your shoulders and melting the tension here. Feel inside the shoulders and the space within here. And scanning down the upper arms into the elbows, relaxing the elbows, resting gently on your thighs or at your side if you're lying down. Feeling your lower arms, your wrists, and sensations in your hands. And bringing your awareness now to your upper stomach. See if you can soften here by imagining the warmth of the sun as we breathe that in to the space here. Feeling on the right side of the upper stomach, your liver, softening here. Feeling on the left side of the upper stomach, the pancreas, and the spleen. Feeling the space inside the whole upper stomach. Feeling that warmth. And the dissolving of tension here. Moving our awareness down to the belly button. And of course, the whole back and the middle back. Relaxing the muscles in the back. Imagine going into the lower stomach and sensing and feeling the warmth and spaciousness in the lower stomach now. What can you sense or feel here? What can you sense or feel here? Is there a temperature? Is it tight? Is it open here? Maybe there's not much of a sensation here. It might even feel quite numb. We're coming deep down now from the upper, bringing all of our energy from the head and from thinking and moving down into the belly. Not where we notice and feel the sensations very often. How it feels when the breath moves in and out of the belly. When we're very relaxed and how the stomach moves naturally. Imagine moving in now right into the reproductive area and sensing and feeling into the uterus and the ovaries and the fallopian tubes. Imagine the light of the sun sitting in the spaciousness of that feeling of space within here. Feeling on the right side, right ovary, fallopian tube. We breathe in that warmth and touch the warmth. And moving your attention more to the left side, to the uterus, the left ovary, the left fallopian tube. Bringing a tenderness here. Softening and allowing and opening all what is in here. We're bringing our awareness down now to the tailbone, into the hips, right hip, left hip, softening and letting go of what we're holding here. Feeling the pelvic floor, softening the buttocks. Imagine breathing in that warmth and that spaciousness here. By just feeling and touching with our feeling and sensing. Imagine the bladder inside, feeling the warmth and spaciousness in the bladder. The bladder has those two tubes that move into the kidneys. And imagine breathing the warmth and spaciousness there. And feeling the kidneys starting on the right side. And the adrenal gland sitting on top of the kidneys as well. And then moving attention to feel and sense the kidney on the left side. And then moving our attention to our legs. Feeling if the thighs, what sensations we feel in the thighs, if anything. We might not feel much here. They might feel tight, they might feel loose, maybe cold sensation or warm sensation, tingling. What do you sense in the thighs? Keeping that warmth and spaciousness of the light in the presence of our awareness to breathe that warmth and spaciousness into the thighs. And feeling the knees, softening the right knee and the left knee, front and back. A lot of us have sore knees. Bringing a warmth and tenderness here to the knees. And scanning down into the calves on the right side, softening, sensing in the right side of the calf. Feeling the tension and the warmth coming and dissolve that tension. With our out breath, moving to sense the left calf. Imagine moving in and sensing the warmth and the spaciousness here in the left calf. Feeling the ankles, the right side, the left side. Feeling the feet, right side, left side. The toes. Now really feel inside both of the feet for a moment. Open up to sensing and feeling the sensations in your feet. Can you feel more on one side than the other side? Does one side have more sensations? Do they feel warm, cool, or cold? Are the sensations in the or maybe the temperature changing as we rest our awareness here. Now coming back inside to sense where we feel the breath in its natural rhythm, feeling the whole body sitting here and breathing here for a minute. Letting the body breathe itself. And just for a moment, relaxing the face, feeling the inner smile, feeling that wave and sensation of the breath breathing itself. And if the mind's wandered, bring it back and then rest again back into your sitting posture. It's like we're awake, but we're resting in our chair. We're leaning back into it, leaning back into the straight spine, relaxed whole body sitting here, breathing itself. If the mind's wandered, just gently bring it back. Feel each wave of the breath, waiting for it to move in its own rhythm. And feeling that breath in the whole body. And starting to feel the sounds in the room now, expanding your awareness from the breath to include the sounds in the room. Slowly opening your eyes. Feeling the temperature of the room on your skin. And if you'd like to just take a moment to describe how that body scan practice was for you. And maybe you would like to describe that in a word or two. The experience today. Uplifting. Roma, you're still feeling fatigue. Well, not saying still, not all week, but from last week, that's what you noticed in your practice was fatigue. So what I would do in my body scan practice, if that sensation or even that feeling of tiredness was very strong, I would keep my attention on the breath, but bring those sensations in the forefront. So where that tiredness is, I would spend special attention breathing that sensation of tiredness in and opening up to allow that to be in the experience in the body. Maybe spending that time watching the sensations in the neck, feeling the sensations in the neck, see if they change over time by breathing into them, opening up with that tender kindness to it in the back. So I find that the more that we just say, be kind and say, oh, noticing fatigue, and that's okay to be here as well, but continuing doing our practice is spending the time and the attention on that is very kind, and we can perhaps find a change, maybe not right away, but we're not expecting it to change. We're just noticing and acknowledging that it's there. You offered compassion to yourself, yeah. So that's what this practice is all about. Acknowledging and opening to exactly what's there. Okay, so Irene had to run. A couple other people were not able to make it today, but I'm just going to, before I let you guys go, just go, oh, Sylvia, I didn't know if you could actually hear the meditation because I was asking if you were ready and I didn't get a response from you before we started, but it looks like you were able to follow some of it. Oh, your screen froze. Okay, you heard it all. So your description of your experiences, you're aware of your breathing. So that feeling for me, just the breath alone, I find to be very, very comforting and pleasurable. I find that as the body is breathing in its own rhythm, I find that touches those tender parts of me and can bring a lot of warmth and comfort there. The breath alone. Okay, you have something else to say before we move on, Sylvia? Okay. So just to review, Roma, you weren't here for our discussion, but we're halfway through our course in the 4th week. So we were just reviewing some of the obstacles, and you can go back and look at the slides. I'll put them up on the YouTube channel. But most of us have a hard time practicing daily. So for the next 4 weeks, we're going to investigate and play with trying to establish a regular daily practice. You might actually have a daily practice, Roma, because I know that you've been doing this for a longer time. But most of us can't seem to fit in a daily practice. And the main obstacle that's come up for most of us is feeling that there's more things, too much to do. There's not enough time, and that the mind is presenting a whole list of tasks. And in your experience, I'm sure you have experienced that as a big obstacle in starting to establish a practice. But that's normal. We discussed that that's normal, and we're just going to have a different starting point for the next 4 weeks where we're going to try to play with the timing of our practice. So some of us may be happy with still doing that 30 minutes a day. We can also drop it down to maybe 20 minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. But at the minimum, I want you to practice at least 10 minutes a day. So if that means you're going to do 5 minutes only in the morning of mindfulness of breath and 5 minutes at night, that's fine, but I still want that actual sitting practice to be established where we're training the mind in attention and concentration. So our focal point is still mindfulness of the breath or the body, but I'm going to say the breath mainly. We really need to establish that connection with the breath. So play with that. Everybody play with that and see how you go. But let's aim for at least 10 minutes of practice a day. And while you're in your practice and it goes longer and you find that sometimes we're having unpleasant experiences and we can't settle the mind to allow what's happening. And, it may be quite hard for us and we may feel agitated. So then we just let it go and then we come back again and try it later. Some of us may find, wow, I really feel benefits right now sitting here and I'm enjoying the sensations of my breath. My mind feels very calm, and we just continue to go further that day and may practice longer. So that's the emphasis for the next week is really looking at the obstacles of establishing a daily practice and then playing with what works with you, especially with the time factor. You can record and we can discuss next week obstacles that prevent you from practicing and benefits that motivate you that you are noticing to get you to practice daily. So keep in mind when the mind starts experiencing the benefits of practice, we more and more willingly sit down to do our practice. And even we can get to a point that we're quite happy and maybe even looking forward daily to do that. That's what I feel about the practice. I can't go on my day usually like I need to have a daily or actually a morning meditation every day. I don't for about a year now, maybe longer. I don't think I've gone a day without meditating in the morning, just because my son at this point allows me the time. He's not so difficult in the morning. We have a schedule and a routine. So that is it. So the sitting practice, 10 minutes, bare minimum, is your homework daily. And that's it. So if anybody wants to say anything more, otherwise I'm going to stop recording